Okay, let's talk about the things that have come into my life and that I decluttered in September. But there's one more thing that I didn't show on the picture, but we will get to that a bit later. We have some changing light, so let's see how this is going to go. Let's start with the things that I have decluttered this month. So I have 2 pairs of shoes here, and that was kind of a maybe almost impulse decluttering decision. I just realized that I have 7 pairs of shoes, and after living with like 3 pairs of shoes for so long, these shoes just kind of kept accumulating. And I realized that these are the 2 pairs of shoes that I just never reach for. These are just, I don't know, no reason really. I got them for free from a friend, and that's amazing, but I just kind of never wear them. And so I decided that maybe it's better to give them to someone else. So they're almost brand new, and kind of similar with these. I got those from a subscriber of mine. I bought them from a subscriber in 2021, I think. And I love the concept of them and I like them, but they're just a bit too big for me. And so they're not very comfortable, and therefore I never reach for them. And I think I kind of have shoes that I prefer, that I would wear in the same situation. And that's how I decided to declutter these. I think I'm going to bring them to a clothing swap, because at clothing swaps, it's always amazing if there are like good quality things that you can swap. And if I don't bring them to a clothing swap, I'm just definitely going to make sure that someone else can wear them. Because, I said, I think about a year ago or so, that I want to stop decluttering, that decluttering is no longer part of my minimalism strategy. And that is true. Like, I want to just pay attention to what I buy and then use the stuff until it breaks apart. But I kind of just accumulated too many shoes, and that's maybe my fault at that. But on the other hand, if the things actually do not fit my life, then at some point I think there has to be a little bit of room for declutter. But I just never want to bring in things thinking like, oh, I can declutter it later on, especially not if I'm buying things new. So that's kind of to understand why I declutter these shoes, even though they're perfectly fine, even though they're not in my life. So I hope you get what I mean. But then, continuing, we have some books I declutter this month. This one, for example, wow, now it's too bright. It's Amrita, written by Banana Yoshimoto. I brought this from one of these public bookshelves, and I had it for a few months and I never read it. I think partly because the cover is so ugly. And then I took off this paper cover, and it's this beautiful linen book. But it was also good to read. It is a Japanese author, a Japanese story, and it's a lot about like big life questions, but then also at the same time about mundane everyday things. And so it's kind of about life and death and philosophy, and still this journey of this woman that is not perfect, that kind of just tries to get to know herself and fights with what life throws at her. And I really enjoyed reading it. There was not this huge crazy storyline. It was more so regular life and a few things happening that are maybe not regular life for most people, but really enjoyable to read. And I'm decluttering it because I'm not seeing myself reading it again. Then another book that I have read and that I'm going to declutter, or with all these books, I usually ask my boyfriend if he wants to read them, and otherwise I bring them to another public bookshelf, is Der Buchladen am Ende der Welt. This means the bookshop at the end of the world, written by Ruth Shaw. And it's the story of her life and a few like anecdotal small stories from her bookstore. So she's in her 70s or 80s now. And she runs this bookstore and meets interesting people there, but then also she had a very interesting, turbulent life, and she tells the story of that. It was a good read. The next one is Alice Haster's new book, Identitätskrise, which means identity crisis. I got this for my birthday, and I really, really liked it. She talks about a lot of things that I think about constantly during the past few years, and It's really about identity crisis in a sense that nowadays many people, my generation and I'm sure also other generations, feel this huge disconnection with parts of our lives. Because on one hand, because the stories we were told during the past few generations don't work anymore for us. The whole work hard and then you have more than enough money. And also we are contributing to things we don't want, like climate change, but we don't really see a way to not do that. Then the whole thing with racism and just identity being way more complicated nowadays, maybe. And so it's just very interesting to feel very understood. But then also she has this approach on how to manage this identity crisis and how we can maybe come out on the other side stronger with a plan, or at least with certain values and ideas on how to not just be lost. I can highly recommend you read this book if you understand German, but I don't think I'm like gonna keep it as a book because I just don't own books. And then the fourth one is Haruki Murakami. I gave it another try. It's Die Pilgerjahre des farblosen Herrn Tazaki. It's kind of the pilgrimage years of the colorless Mr. Tazaki. And I thought it was a nice story. I liked it better than the other book I read that he wrote. But again, the thing that really upset me, that I really hated, is how he describes women. And a friend of mine actually said an interesting thing, because I talked to her about this and she said, yeah, she totally understands. At some point, the book can be so great and the story, but you can just not read this anymore if people are this sexist and objectifying women. And yeah, that's how I feel. So this just made the book way worse. And yes, he writes in a good way and he describes things well and he's very delicate with words. But when it comes to women, no. And then because we're already talking about the books, I finally finished this book. I actually started it last summer, like summer of 2023. And it's Naomi Klein's This Changes Everything, Capitalism versus the Climate. And it's just written a bit complicatedly. It's 450 pages with a lot of like data and studies and numbers and international law and history and stuff. So it's dense. It's really good because it's a lot about how we're failing this planet and how we're failing as a humanity, but also some solutions. And I think it's a great book to also kind of read again certain parts, because maybe I remember, it said something about this and that, and therefore it's gonna stay in this apartment. It belongs to my boyfriend, so he's gonna want to keep it anyways and read it because I've read it but he hasn't. So it's gonna stay in this apartment, but I do not want to read it again as a full thing. It was honestly a bit depressing, but still really good, and yeah, heavy book. That brings me to the things that have come into my life. And the first one is the thing that is not in my thumbnail because it's honestly too big. And so I talked to the parents of a friend of my son, and the father said that he has a bike he doesn't need. And I was like, okay, what? Like, okay. And he's like, I'm gonna throw it away. And I said, well, wait, my bike is like not perfect. And he's like, yeah, you can have it. And so I got a bike. It's not like I had to fix some things. I had to tape the handles because they were kind of sticky and disgusting. And we still had like some hockey stick tape at home. So I just used that to tape the bike handles. I know that's not what you usually do, but I thought like, this is for sticks to hold them. So why not use it for bike handles? Therefore I didn't have to like buy new handles or buy anything. And I also had to like fix it because one of the tires was like, did not retain any air. And I also have to figure out the lighting situation because it does not have any lights. But other than that, that bike would be a bit better than the bike that I'm currently using. Now I'm happy with the bike I currently have because I bought it for like 30 euros and I've had it for a year and it's pretty simple and I like it. But it wouldn't hurt to also have a bike with more than one gear, so it's easier to ride it a bit faster, for example, or use it uphill or things like that. And now that I decluttered 2 pairs of shoes and maybe do not have, for me, a ridiculous number of shoes, I have a ridiculous number of bikes, which is 2 bikes. But honestly, in my childhood and teenage years, I often had 2 bikes because I would use them every day. And then if one breaks, I don't have to fix it immediately because I can just fix the other one. There you just have to be careful to fix the first one before the second one breaks, because something breaks all the time about bikes. At least like the lighting situation or something. So now I have 2 bikes. But because he wanted to throw it away, mine is like very limited in how I can use it, I thought it doesn't hurt and I have space. And it's not very minimalist, but maybe sustainable, and we will see how it continues. Maybe I'm going to declutter one of the bikes at some point. And then I purchased some more underwear, because last month, as you know, some more underwear did break. And so I bought some new ones of the underwear that I already own and like. And one of you commented that you didn't think I would use like strings like these. And honestly, for me, they are absolutely most comfortable, and I don't think there are any hygiene problems with my body and strings, at least. So, and they take up less space, they dry quick on vacation. I do not see a problem with them, and I like them very much. But honestly, I just really believe that when it comes to underwear, it's so important that you find something that works for your body, because bodies are hugely different and underwear can be so uncomfortable if it doesn't fit correctly. That's the case for most shapes of underwear for me. And with these, I found a solution that actually really works for me. So that was maybe TMI, but just so you know. But then if I was already ordering underwear, I also ordered a sports bra, because I just do not have a bra anymore that kind of compresses anything. And I only have like 3 bras left, so I thought it's a good idea. Honestly, I'm not 100% happy because it's kind of too tight here, but not tight enough here. But we'll see. I'm just gonna wear it and see how it's going. But it's just difficult. Underwear is difficult, honestly. Then, technically, this is everything that came into my life and that I cluttered. But there's another thing I did yesterday, and that is fixing a sweater I've had. Like, I kind of took that out of my wardrobe months ago because it has some holes. And yesterday I finally found the motivation to fix it. And I tried to embroider some like small leaves over the holes. I'm trying to show them to you. This is number 1. Actually, it's the 3rd one I did. Now it's like the other way around. This is the 2nd one I did. Number 2 I'm showing you. And this is the 3rd one, which is the 1st one I made. I am not like 100% happy with how they turned out, but I think it's kind of cute having these small, colorful autumn leaves on my sweater, and now the holes aren't getting bigger and I can use it again. So I put it back in my wardrobe, and I just wanted to show you, because I think a huge part of like living a good minimalist and sustainable life, especially also like underconsumption, the new trend, but something I've been doing for years, is that we maintain our things instead of just like buying new stuff and decluttering them if they don't fit 100%, but maintain them instead if possible. So apart from the stuff, how was my September? Definitely a lot of just like coming back to routines, transitioning into fall. It's way cooler here. It has rained a lot. I'm wearing sweaters all the time again, and not so many exciting things happened. Like, actually, it was just very much so everyday life. But that also meant that at some point, after doing like the whole bookkeeping that was laying around because of my summer vacation, I actually had some time again to just relax, which was amazing. And I just realized then that I did not have much of that before. Like during my vacation, maybe not so much because we were traveling and doing stuff all the time, and afterwards because I had to take care of stuff that needed to be taken care of, and work and everything. I mean, work is continuing, but I had some time again, and that's amazing. And October, do we have plans? Maybe a hike. This is my last chance to actually do like a proper hike this year, I think. Maybe it's gonna happen, maybe not. And other than that, read a bit, relax a bit, plan a bit. We'll see. I hope you had a good month of September. Let me know what you read, what you bought, what you declutter, how you were, what you did. And I want to link you another video here that you can check out now. Next And other than that, I do want to say thank you so much to my patrons. They do get an extra podcast episode every single week where I also do talk a bit about what I'm doing, what I'm buying, what I'm thinking about, things like that. So I hope to see you maybe on Patreon. Other than that, maybe in this video or in my next video. Goodbye.